Hey guys, how are you? It is me, Kathleen, today. We are talking about probability with permutations and combinations. And here's our scenario. There is a talent show with 7 performers, and we are asked, what is the probability the musicians perform in alphabetical order? Well, remember we talked about permutations when we said, oh gosh, when you see that word order, you know it's a permutation. So I'm going to go ahead and remember that permutations is going to be needed to solve this probability question, okay? So I want the probability of alpha order, and I got to set it up with a numerator and a denominator. And I want to look at the denominator first, because my denominator is my total possible outcomes. And the total possible outcomes is the 7 performers, okay? And we're looking at how many permutations of 7 are there. So we are looking at 7 factorial. And my numerator is what is desired. Well, what is it that we desire? Well, we desire all the 7 performers to come out in alphabetical order by their last names. And this is assuming that no 2 performers have the same last name. And well, there would only be one possibility. The one possibility would be the alphabetical order. And I can go ahead and simplify this and say, well, that is equal to 1 over, well, 7 factorial, you know, is 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And that is equal to, and I will use my calculator, and that is equal to 5,040. So 1 in 5,040 chance that could possibly happen, that the 7 performers are called in alphabetical order. And now we're going to look at B. And B says, hey, you are friends with 4 of the performers. What is the probability that the first 2 are your friends? So now we're looking at the probability the first 2 are my friends. Okay, now I'm just going to set it up. Remember, it's probability. I got to set it up as a fraction. And so I have to know what is my numerator and what is my denominator. Well, let's talk about the denominator first, because we want to know what are the total possible combinations for 2 friends, 2 people to be called out of 7. Okay, and that would be my formula, C72, where 7 is my n, and my n is my number of distinct objects, and 2 is the number of objects taken from those distinct objects, okay? So this is 2 people randomly chosen out of 7. That is my total possible combinations. It's also my total possible outcomes for my probability question. Now I'm looking at my numerator. Well, my numerator, we want to look at, it says I have 4 friends, and the question says, what's the probability that the first 2 are your friends? Well, that's my C42, because that's the total possible combinations of 2 being selected from my 4 friends. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and we are simplifying this. And remember, the 4 here, and I should just elaborate on that for a second, is my n. That's the number of distinct objects. And this number 2 is my r, and that's the number of objects taken from my distinct objects. Those 2 are taken from my group of 4 friends, okay? So we're going to go ahead and simplify this. And okay, so I'm just going to use my formula for combinations, and that's going to be 4 factorial divided by 4 minus 2. That's my n minus my r. 4 minus 2 is 2 factorial times my r is 2 factorial. And I'm just going to go ahead and simplify this now. my 4 factorial is broken down into 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 2 factorial times 2 factorial, but guess what? I can go ahead and knock out this 2 factorial with that 2 times 1. And what I get is 4 times 3 is 12, and 2 factorial is 2 times 1, 2, and that is equal to 6. But we're not done, are we? That is my numerator. Now I have to do my denominator. And this is the total possible combinations for the 7 performers where 2 people are selected. Now the distinct objects are the 7 performers, and the 2 is chosen from the 7. Okay, so we're not talking about the friends anymore. We're just talking about the whole group of 7. So I'm going to use my formula for C7-2, and that's going to be 7 factorial divided by, well, 7, this is my N, this is my R. 7 minus 2 is 5 factorial times my R, 2 factorial. And I can knock out this 5 factorial with the 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 in that 7 factorial, which just leaves me with 7 times 6 divided by 2 factorial, 2 times 1, and that's 42 divided by 2, and that's 21. So I've simplified my problem, and I know that my numerator for C42 simplifies to 6. And when I evaluate the denominator, C72, my denominator is 21. And if I was to go ahead and leave this as a fraction, I could reduce it, and that would be 3/7. And another way I could go ahead, that would be 2/7 rather. Or I could go ahead and I could turn it into a decimal, and my decimal would be 2 divided by 7, and that is 0.2, it's 0.2857, and we'll just say it's about 0.2857. And there we have it, okay? So there's a little bit more than a quarter or 25% probability that when you are friends with 4 of the performers, the first 2 would be your friend, okay? So it would actually be about 28%. Okay, blessings, my friend. I hope you enjoyed this exploration with probability involving permutations and combinations. More is to come. I am signing off now. That is a wrap.